Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. We are so happy that you could join us today. So we've got a really cool episode today. We've got me and Greg and no guest again.
Okay.
So it's just me and Greg. We're riffing, we're answering questions, we're talking about some of the books that we're reading and some of the things that have been circling throughout the primordial sludge that makes up the majority of both of our brains. And we're gonna see where this show goes. So we've got some questions we'll pull from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections Facebook group, but this is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. That's what the show is all about. And let's, Greg, bring you in today, the junior grandmaster himself, in the co-pilot seat, as always. Feeling good, feeling strong.
Well, Matt, I'm feeling good, and I'm always looking good. Come on, we know this.
Feeling good, looking good, ought to be in Hollywood.
Oh, if only that was to be the truth. But hey, I am really pumped to be here. I am a little bit on the more mellow side today. I have a whole office full of people back here, and one of my business partners is negotiating a purchase of our $3.7 million home with one of our buyers. So I'm going to try not to.
I predict a lot of F words in this episode. Just yelled, just screamed out.
Fuck you, motherfucker. Yeah, I'll do it real quiet, though. Matt's like, God damn it, Greg, really?
Yeah. Now really? I'm going to have Caitlin edit that out.
No. Oh, no, but it's really exciting. We've been having this property on for almost 2 years just because there's some unique quirks to it. But one of our clients that we bought and sold several times with is going to be putting an offer in. I think we got ourselves a deal here. So that's going to be a great thing for all sides, put together. But
cool. Dude, are the quirks about the house something you can talk about publicly? I'm just curious because I genuinely don't know. I take that as a no.
Oh no! My mind just started racing. Like, what kind of dirty things can I come up with make Matt's face turn red?
It was Hugh Hefner's spare grotto.
Yeah. How many partners were taken in one room? Were there porno films? No, I'm not going to go there. No, but it's just it's on top of a hill. It's got 2 lots. It's got views going on forever and a day. The kitchen isn't. It's really nice. It's just not up to date to the way most of the buyers in the $3.7 million range want. Right? Or 3.5. We slowed it.
And they didn't want to make the updates. I take it.
Yeah, they'll go to make the updates. But that's really exciting. But I beat the shit out of myself on old man slow pitch softball. Hey, Tim's here. Tim just joined us. He's trying to join us at least.
I see. Yeah. I was thinking he might not be able to join us, but if he can, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, it will be.
Hey.
But there you are. We hear you. We do not see you, my friend.
Oh, that's because I have my piece of tape over the camera.
So Big Brother can't stare at you?
Yeah, so they can't see me dress in the middle of the night or whatever, There.
I sleep eat.
I don't do anything when I sleep. I'm just a brick, man. I just go down. I woke up this morning and I couldn't figure out where my glasses were. Dude, these glasses have been with me for like 3 years now. They are durable as all hell. I mean, I'm like, all right, shit, where are my freaking glasses? I looked around. I'm like, they're in the couch again, aren't they? Yep, shoved right down in the middle of the couch, just completely wedged in there. I just pull them off. I'm like, and perfect. I love these little things. They're fantastic. Straight shit. Tim, man, hey, you are getting a hell of a following and getting a lot of people they're asking about you. I had a Mike who is out of my area up here. I know he had a talk with you, and you blew his mind. He was super pumped to talk with you.
Cool, great, yeah. I've had 9 calls since the last one, and wow. I'm booked until next week. So so that's great. I mean, yeah. It's good, and they basically all ask the same 10 questions, which is great because that means they're all about in the same spot. And so we just keep churning it. So that's good.
Yeah, and a lot of people are taking your advice. If you guys weren't on when Tim was on last time, he gave advice how to use what's that app again? Crowdfire.
Yeah, Crowdfire. Yeah.
And there were some guys saying that they went from 60 followers on Twitter to 300 in 2.5 weeks.
Right.
Right. And then same thing for Instagram. I'm gonna go do it myself, and I'll let you know how it goes because I've been adding steadily on Instagram, but I gotta really hit it hard.
Yeah, and the key really is, and I've been telling everybody who's been calling that the key really is that you want to use Twitter to kind of get everybody over to your Facebook and Instagram. So that's kind of the idea is Facebook and Instagram are the people that already know you, or they're engaged with you in some way. They're familiar with you, you know, and you're sending them good content. And then, of course, the number one content that you should be sending is through email. So I talk about that with everybody who calls. We talk about strategies about that. We also talk about strategies about how to understand Facebook versus Twitter versus LinkedIn, and then we also talk about how to get them from Twitter to Facebook. That usually takes us about a half hour, and then you know, they all seem to be you know, excited to get started on that. So anything I can do to help, I'm glad to help.
You're awesome, my friend. And Matt gets to join us this time, which is always going to be exciting.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Matt, Tim, Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
I know. I was going to say, I almost feel like I was on the last episode because I watched the episode and wrote up all the show notes, and it was a really great episode. So I'm interested to see what else you have to share, and maybe we can go beyond those 10 questions and kind of talk about what are the effectively what are the next steps once if somebody actually takes and acts on those steps. What are some of the next things they can do? So we can talk about that.
Well, I've been kind of thinking through the idea of realtors, and now having talked to a bunch of realtors, I think I have some pretty good ideas of some things they could be using that can really help them in the development of the content, because that's really the next piece. Yeah. You know, it's because now you got all this infrastructure, but if you're not pushing out any content, it's really not helping you any. And so maybe we could talk a little bit about that. That's where really Periscope, Pinterest, those kinds of things come in, because they have specific niches for content, and then you can share those all across your platforms.
Yeah,
so,
I want to dig into that big time.
You know, yeah, and I have are we on right now?
Mm-hmm.
Are we
yeah.
on? Oh, okay. Well, gosh, now I feel like it's like my mom. You know, are we on? Is this thing on? But, I do have a course on Periscope, a mastery course on Periscope that I'm going to be launching here. So Greg and I are going to talk through that a little bit, but I've got that as well, so people can be looking for that. That you know, if Periscope is kind of out there and you're wondering what to do with it after we talk about it today, maybe you're going to be more interested, and I can help with that. So
well, I think it's great because Matt and I have been talking a lot about Facebook Live and what you can do directly into your Facebook account. I've been getting a tremendous following, a lot of views. I'm blessed, in that way. But I'm not using Periscope efficiently or effectively at all, and to attack Twitter to then direct them back to my Instagram and back to my Facebook.
Right.
I would love to dive into that because, I mean, Periscopes stay up for 24 hours and they're gone, so it gives you the ability, unless that's changed.
Yeah, no, it's still basically like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then, I would love to dive in and do some tips and tricks on content, how to use video more effectively, get your opinion on what Facebook is talking about doing about taking away the direct messages and to replace them with live video chats.
Right, right. It's kind of they're going to try to rival what we're doing right now, Google Hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what it sounds like. And but see, you've got the problem is a lot of people when they're looking at their social media, they don't really understand that it just looks like there's all these different platforms, and there are. I mean, there's so many, But which ones do I use? And really, the question isn't really so much which ones do you use, but which ones are easiest for you to use to create great content. That's really the question. And so, if Periscope really works for you, then great. If Blab really works for you, I mean that's great. If Blog Talk Radio really works for you, then use that. But the idea is you're trying to get content that's really, really valuable to people. That's the biggest thing. And so it's like kind of like Dante's levels of hell. You got to have levels of content. Okay, so you've got your email is the best content you send out. So a lot of people who call me ask me, how many emails should I be sending out a month? And I don't mean to be cryptic about this. I'm just answering it honestly, which is as many as you can, and have it be the very best content you ever produce. So if that's 1 a month, well then great. If it's 2 a month, then great. If it's 1 a week, I mean, I had a guy call me and says, I'm already doing 1 a week. And I said, well, how are you doing that? Well, they had a service that was just basically farming out emails every Friday or whatever. And I said, well, the problem with that is that I said, it's an interesting idea for Twitter. That's not an interesting idea for email, because the problem is as soon as I get tired of that, I vote with my mouse, right? There's an old saying in the service business that people vote with their feet. And so the idea is they vote with their mouse in digital environments. So as soon as they say, nope, I don't want this anymore, and they click, it's over. And on an email, as soon as they say unsubscribe, you're never getting them an email again. It's locked down. So you don't ever want that to happen. You want them to say, oh my gosh, Greg McDaniels just sent me another email. I cannot live without that. That's what you want. What is that content? And everybody's
well, it's funny
going to...
how I uttered those exact words nigh this morning. Nigh this very morning.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sure that's true. But that's the top level of content. You see what I mean? And then Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook and Instagram are the next level. So it's like the B stuff. But remember, it's not A, B, C like school. This is like, your difference between your A+, your 99% stuff, your 95% stuff, and then your Twitter is more of your 90% stuff. You you can't phone this in.
Still better be really good.
It's got to be good, yeah. And so that's where Periscope comes in handy, is that you can create content. So I'm thinking, I'm a realtor, I'm standing in front of a house. I can create something fast, and I can use that to get it out to Twitter. I can use that in a fast environment. Or if I'm not going to do that, I can use my phone, right? And piece of tape's still on my phone. I can use my phone, and I can make a video of myself in front of that same house or whatever. Or I can interview somebody or whatever. I can use that, and I can put that on Facebook. That's a little bit nicer video quality, maybe.
That's what I do that. I do that with Facebook Lives all the time. I walk through the properties. Like, we have a Bearcat of a property that when it comes to data, I just had bad cell service there, and I couldn't tap into the Wi-Fi for whatever dumb reason. So it was in and out spotty quality, but I had a couple hundred views just like that, and some good followership on it. And I find that those are some of the best videos that I can possibly do. Any of you guys who follow, by the way, if you guys are not following me on Facebook, please go follow me on Facebook. It's not hard to find me. Greg McDaniel holding, 2 beers and going like this, in front of me. And you'll get access to all this, and so you'll be able to see what Tim and I are talking about live time and go back and watch some of my past videos. That's right. And so see, that stuff from Facebook Live it has a certain level of quality that's really, really important. And you just have to remember, I think that you had it on your Facebook, if I remember right. I was looking at your Facebook, and you had a quote on there that said, that you always have to remember that it's the digital person. There's a person behind the digital behavior. Mm-hmm. We're always looking at digital behaviors. A lot of times people think that they almost have this this animated idea that the social media are kind of existing in their own little quantum existence. And they're really not. These are people. They're people that are doing things. There are people that are interfacing with you. And so you have to remember that. And when you come up with content, you're still interfacing. So, for instance, Greg, if I'm going to send you a video, I'm going to say, hey, Greg, this is Tim. I'm going to talk in the video like it's me talking to you, because you're going to receive it, and you're still a human. Right.
You got to make sure we don't dehumanize the social media, because as soon as you do that, you'll start sending out crap that nobody wants to read.
Right, and I've been playing around with that a lot. I've been doing things like when I got massive view counts, I went back and I looked at, what was it that I got a massive view count on? I got a massive view count was on the 10 things never to say to your real estate agent.
Right, there you go.
So I got another one. I was given this one by my coach over at Viral, Reed, and I'm going to do this one today for my live cast. It's 13 brilliantly honest reasons you can't afford to sell your own home.
Right.
I tried it with hardcore training. I've tried it with other stuff, but I found that the overall viewership, wants to know these not so real estate centric conversations. They want to know, like the general public who's watching this and rewatches it, they want to know these things. Okay, so why can't I sell my house? Here's 13 different reasons why. Here's 10 things not to say to your real estate agent. Here, go look at this amazing house. Hey, check out what I'm doing here. I did beta breakers, and I did 3 videos. My first video has nearly 500 views.
Right.
And it was just me standing in line with a bunch of people.
That's right. Well, and the other thing I can tell you is, see, what you're talking about is also a concept I talk to a lot of people about, a lot of my clients about, which is never sacrifice. And this is kind of a cutesy little saying, but I don't mean it to be, but it hits home, right? It's never sacrifice the meat of your message on the altar of the clever or the cute. Sometimes the meat of your message is just the meat of your message. Just say 9 things you should never tell your realtor. Okay, that's I'm opening that up and I'm expecting to read 9 things that I should never tell my realtor. It's okay. It doesn't have to be cute. You don't have to say 9 things to tell them while you're buying them a beer, and you don't have to be cute. Don't sacrifice the meat of your message on the altar of the clever or the cute. As soon as you do that, what happens is people their BS meter starts to go like, whoa, wait a minute, who is this guy? If you're going to be an expert, then you've got to be an expert. You got to carry yourself like an expert. You've got to, if you want to win that, you got to carry that, and you can do that on the social media. But remember, they don't get to see your face, so they don't get to see that you got what kind of clothes to wear and all that on the social media. They're looking at what you're saying, and if what you're saying is really top notch, then we go for it. I mean, it's kind of like when these people call me from you guys. You guys have just been awesome. I mean, like I said, my phone's lighting up. I mean, and I tell people keep calling, but I mean, it's so bad I had to make my own URL, bookdrtim.com, because I couldn't answer all the phone calls. It was crazy. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But it was funny because people call and I give them the same stuff that I charge $100 an hour for. I mean, I'd give them the same stuff. There's no reason not to. It's not like I'm going to play any games with them. Look, this is what, if you called me and paid me $100 an hour, here's what I tell you in the first half hour. I mean, this is what I tell you. So, I mean, and so we just carry ourselves that way. Tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me a little bit about where you are with your social media. Okay, let's go from there. It's going to work. That's the same thing. I don't have to be cute. I just have to be right, and I have to be authoritative, Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's really important is when people are putting things when you're talking about building content, which is really the next piece here. Next piece is building content. The third piece, Greg, you already talked about this, and we can talk about this on another day, or we can talk about it today. It doesn't matter, but it's you cannot make decisions about what you do not measure.
Yep.
You have to measure things. And so what you're saying is true. You do a Facebook Live, and you talk about this particular thing, and you get 500 hits, but you talk about this particular thing, and you get 250. Maybe there's a correlation to that, maybe there's not. But you have to be seeing those numbers. And if you don't have a way to measure what you're doing, then what's going to happen is you're just going to be kind of like throwing water in the wind, and maybe it'll get you wet, and maybe it'll go somewhere, and you just don't know what's happening, and people get very frustrated over that. I just feel, I hear people say a lot, I do a lot on my Facebook, and I just don't ever get anywhere. Well, when was the last time you measured anything? I mean, how do you know so the first question I always ask people when they say that to me is I say, give me an example of a post that really you did well. And what does that mean, do well? Oh, well, I did this one that I talked about this. Okay, I talked about my dog. Okay, great. So when you talked about your dog, how many shares did that get? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, then you're not measuring it. How do you know you did well? Well, a lot of people liked it. Well, I know, but how many? Well, how many is a how many? I mean, okay, 60. Okay, 60. How many people do you have? 75. Okay, that's pretty good.
That's good.
But if you have 1,000, that's really horrible. So that's what I'm saying is you got to kind of see that, and so that's really important. And so the content piece is really important. What you put out is really good, and then also think about it this way, you guys. What you promote, whether it's on retweeting on Twitter, or whether it's what you like, share, and comment on in Facebook or whatever of somebody else, make sure that it's excellent too. Make sure that you only share the best stuff that's out there. And so, if somebody puts something out there that's really great on Twitter, we'll retweet it for crying out loud. Mention it. Do whatever you got to do. If they're not measuring that, then phooey on them, but you are, and your people are saying, hey, this guy, no matter what he puts on Twitter, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm working with. I'm constantly thinking about is what is the content that I'm going to be sharing out there. I'm out there on what is that site? Quora, Quora.
Oh yeah, Quora. Yeah.
Quora.
That's like an expert site.
Yeah, Quora
That's
is
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm reading Quora. I'm taking content from Quora. I'm looking at realtytimes.com, pulling an article off of that. I'm watching YouTube. I'm going to look. I usually go maybe watch Tom Ferry, one of his things, and pull some nuggets of goodness and share it there. Yep. I'm pulling from multiple different sources, and that's one of the things that a lot of people will say, well, I don't have anything to do videos about. And I say, yeah, you do. You're a living, breathing human being who successfully woke up this morning and hasn't killed themselves so far. You have either a husband or a wife or a significant other. You may or may not have kids. Matt has his 3, children. And then
in between shuttling them back from the doctor's office to examine their diabetes, obesity,
Yes.
lacto-ovarian, vegetarianism, and all the what else we've decided they have.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, we've decided that Matt is going to have a problem with his health of his young, unborn, non-existent children, which is still always funny to me. Who knows?
Yeah.
They may get leprosy next week. We never know.
Well, let's get into the. Let's take a break and mention some people and do some shout-outs, and then let's get in. I want to dive deep into that process of how do you come up with the content, because I've struggled and floundered, and finally I think discovered something that works for me. But it took me a long time, like determined effort and experimentation just to come up with something, and it's not ideal. It's just what's working for me right now. I'm curious what other tips and suggestions you would have, Tim, on that.
Matt,
so I want to get into that.
We've talked about it. Look, Star Magazine does not qualify as good quality content.
We've gone over the Star Magazine.
Come on, buddy.
What about people and us?
Ooh, us? I love us.
Yeah. Okay. You're such a dick. Oh, man. All right. So, first of all, I just want to give a quick shout-out to Viral Marketing. I just want to thank them publicly for helping to make Hangouts and podcasts like these happen. So, obviously, they do a phenomenal job of running Greg's video blog there in the real estate, like the East Bay real estate video blog for Greg. So go to gregsmarketingexamples.com. You'll get to see the YouTube channel, the emails they send, and watch a video where Greg actually kind of breaks down what exactly they do for him and how they help get more referrals and repeat business from their database, which is around 6,000 there in the neighborhoods that they serve.
5,600.
5,600. So it's that is how they kind of go through that database and figure out who is interested right now, who out of that database might be making a move soon, who do we need to jump on and call. So that's the function. Yeah.
By the way, it is still a trip every time I click onto YouTube or something, and then boom, there I am. I'm watching myself. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, it's the ad.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so gregsmarketingexamples.com, and then check out Homing In. That's the app that we've been talking about. We've had Todd Miller and Christian Peter, who are the co-founders of that app. Both of them have been on the show at various times. Christian Peters also started an app called HomeBuzz. Both of those are fantastic apps, different purposes. Homing In is really cool because it gives sellers the opportunity to request an actual home valuation from realtors in their area, like you, and they are getting requests. The general public is downloading the app, but there are areas in which they do not have any realtors to actually get them the home valuations they want. So in other words, there are seller leads, free seller leads sitting out there, depending on your area. So go download the app and see if there's some waiting for you there. And even if it's not super huge in your area yet, you can use that and you can promote the app. And Homing In will help you to do that and generate demand and generate some more seller leads from people asking for valuations. So again, Homing In, check that out.
Jose in Long Beach, one of our listeners, what's up, player, if you're listening to this, he went and downloaded it after the last time we talked. He's like, oh, Greg, dude, there's a bunch of people down here in these Long Beach neighborhoods that are looking for values. I'm hitting them up. That's amazing, man. My head's spinning.
That's awesome.
I'm like, sweet, man, keep me in the loop. Let me know how this works out for you. So people are already making money off of us, Matt. Free money.
Good. They should. All right, and then I was talking to a guy here late last week, and he had a really, really good recommendation for a kind of a tech tip. So it's something called Full Contact, and I'm tinkering around with this. He's really, really, really high on it because he has contacts scattered in several different systems. This will integrate multiple Google accounts as well as like your LinkedIn connections and basically tie all of your contacts from multiple areas together and give you the ability to track them and then kind of pull in all the intelligence from social media networks on them into one place, and then also gives you the ability, if you want to do like some of the premium upgrades, you can like scan business cards, you can grab people's information from email signatures, and it'll grab that information and add it to your database, and so some really cool things. So it's called Full Contact is the app.
I like that. It kind of has look like a Rolodex, cards is the first part of it.
Yep.
That's cool stuff. That's really cool stuff. So far, we already talked about Blog Talk Radio and Full Contact, so two good full tech things here, which I like. My shout-outs. Number one, dude, Tom Miller, you pimp. Man, thank you beyond belief, bro. I have been able to talk to Stacy and to Ryan. We've got them booked up for the McDaniel Challenge. So again, thank you for sending them over. They're gonna do great. Brendan, we are gonna be talking tonight big guy. We're going to have a great time talking tonight. I'm really looking forward to it from Rhode Island. And then Sean, what up, bud? Hey, it was awesome doing the live Facebook on Sunday at our open house. That was a lot of fun. We're definitely going to do some more simulcasts together and talking about stuff. And then Joe, dude, all I have to say is you're awesome. So, you guys, that was a short and sweet. I am booked up on the McDaniel Challenge until, hold on, July 20th, guys. July 20th is when I'm booked up for the McDaniel Challenge. Get off your asses and start making it happen. McDaniel Challenge, what is it? Well, I'm glad you asked, Matt, because I was gonna almost forgot about that. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours of free coaching with me, like with Tim. You know, he charges $100 an hour. You'd have to be paying at least that, if not significantly more, to get, you know, advice from, you know, a real estate coach. So guys, call me 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. If you think you're not ready for the challenge or it's not the right time, you're the perfect person to do this call. Get off the fence. There. My rant is over. We may continue with the regular scheduled program now.
Now, Matt, what kind of drum set is that in the back of your shot there?
That is a Yamaha Stage Custom 5-piece maple.
Very nice. That is exactly the kind of drum set I play. So.
What?
Really? Truth.
Really? Yep. All right. Awesome. I like you even better now.
Yep. Only play Yamaha. That's all I've ever played. So.
This is actually my first Yamaha kit. I've done Pearl and Premier for years. I had a really nice Premier kit for a while. So yeah, my first Yamaha kit. I'm very much enjoying it.
Yep.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna leave you out of this conversation. The next 45 minutes is all gonna be drum gear talk. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we can't do drums uncensored though. That would not make the waves well.
Oh no. It was a movie a long time ago. They had the naked drummer because the old uncle couldn't figure out how to use a webcam. He thought it was just a microphone, and he was living underneath a Chinese restaurant, and it was like so hot he was just drummed naked. He became like a YouTube phenom. It was a movie.
He thought he was recording himself, and he thought he was recording just audio, but he was broadcasting video to the world.
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
That sounds like a drummer.
Okay. Well, before we insult our own kind, let's get back into to content creation strategies. So this is something that I'm really interested in. So Tim, what's your perspective on it?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I always try to help people understand. Is that if you don't have a content calendar, you won't create it. So you got to have a calendar of some sort. I mean, you got to start writing this stuff down. You can't do it out of your head. If you are sitting around saying to yourself, "Did I create content for next week?" You haven't. So you know, you really need to have a calendar, and you need to get a day. I always tell people try to have a day or 2 days, or you know, if there's some people you can't do it all in one day just because of your schedule or whatever. But you'll get days put aside, time slots that you're going to sit. And then the other thing that I always tell people on content is, because people have a lot of trouble coming up with content, so I tell them the best thing you can do is start making lists. What are the things? So I make lists based on several different things. Number one, what's the latest stuff that I've read? You know, what's the latest stuff that I've read, and how does it interface with what I already know, or what I already tell people, or what I'm already doing? So that's a biggie, and you know, that's something that you can be developing. See, if you're reading all the time, this is a big piece, and I don't know how I can emphasize this enough, that if you really want to be good at social media, you have to read books from people who are good at social media, and so like Dan Zarella, for instance, the social media scientist, very good stuff. You know, Greg Vaynerchuk. I mean, there's just so many that are out there that are doing social media on such a high level. Michael Stelzner from Social Media Examiner. You know, if you're not reading that stuff, then you're not keeping up with the stuff that these guys. This is what they do their entire life. They just come up with new ways to figure out how things work, and as things shift and change, it's there. So that's one thing. You always interact. You know, what am I reading that I haven't really talked to anybody about? The second thing I always ask myself is, what do people ask me? But people always ask me things, so what are those things? So if you're a realtor, for instance, and your customers always ask you the same 10 things, well, start writing on those 10 things. Expound on them. Take one at a time. There's 10 posts for you. You know, one at a time, and get those things out. The thing about it is that if most people are asking the same 10 things, Greg and Matt, then if I send it out, if I send some of those questions out to them in an email directly to them, I'm already answering the questions they already have. They think I'm a genius. I said, how did he know that I had that question? Well, because people always ask me, but I'm answering their questions even before they get to me. So now I'm building trust. I'm building trust between humans, right? So that's a biggie. What do people ask me, and what can I do to answer those questions in a way that they'll feel like they're successful? And then the third thing is that what is it that I'm doing that's successful, and how can I push that out to somebody else? So I did something that really worked. Crowdfire is a really good example for me. I was struggling with building Twitter following, and I found Crowdfire. I started to use it, and I started to come up with this whole new strategy of how I was going to deal with Crowdfire. And because Crowdfire lets me, it lets me go on I can go on Greg's Twitter list, and I can follow all of his people. So it lets me crossbreed my Twitter following, and then people can either reject me or take me, and it's this really, really fast, really frenzied thing that happens in Crowdfire. But I found that I was struggling to get to 500, and now I'm well over 1,300, and I'm trying to get to 2,500 in the next my goal is 45 days to be at 2,500 or more. And that was just my own personal. I'm not even talking about my clients. I can take my clients from 0 to 1,000 in about 60 days tops. Sometimes it's 45. So that's the thing. It's a lot of it is just finding something. So then I can write about that. Hey, I've got this new app. This is what I'm doing, and I could take that and I can make it in several different blog posts, or content pieces, and get it out to people. I think the fourth thing is that don't be too verbose. Don't try to put too much in one. Break stuff up. If you've got really good content, you don't actually have to write an entire essay. In school we're taught that 3 to 5 pages is a good. You've covered it. Okay. Well, in the world of digital media, 3 to 5 pages is a year. I mean,
it's an eternity. It's an uncrossable chasm.
It's like an unstoppable force of words. So so make sure that you're doing that, and wherever you can, use pictures. I mean, I can't tell you, pictures convert better than anything. Video converts the best. The video type of picture, of course. But if you're afraid of video, not really wanting to do it, then try radio, try audio, try putting different things out there. And this is the thing we talked about before, Greg, that you just talked about earlier today. If you're starting in social media and you don't really know what works for who's following you, who doesn't, then you have an awesome opportunity to try literally everything.
Yeah.
Try video, try audio, try taking a picture of yourself, try taking a picture of your dog, try writing about this, try writing about that, try everything, and watch the numbers. And if the numbers go up, then stay on that vein until the numbers go down, and then try something new. We talked about this the last time I was on, I think, or maybe it was 2 times ago. I don't remember. I can't remember. But I always tell people, don't worry about the numbers falling off. Don't get too attached to any of your content. If it stops working, dump it and move on to the next thing. The social media happens very fast. These are human people. We're human beings, but this is not a real relationship. Like, as soon as he doesn't buy me a beer, dump him. We're not saying that. We're saying, as soon as this doesn't work with the people who are following me, I'm going to dump it because I care about them. I care about what they think. And so as soon as I can dump it, I go on to the next thing. And if you will adopt that mindset, then your content you'll be able to bob and weave on your content, and you'll get a lot of feedback from your people.
Also, I use the 85-15 content structure. 85% of the time, I'm having fun. I'm joking around, being me on my Facebook Lives, or I'm going to start doing them on my Periscopes as well. But also bring 15% of just nothing but solid content. But people have to be engaged with you. They have to want to watch you.
Right.
Which I joined the dark side, you guys, and I have become one of the Snapchatters. And I have no idea what to do with it.
All right. Okay.
What's your handle on Snapchat, Greg?
REU444.
Gotcha. All right. So everybody follow, friend him on Snapchat, and then I am pursuing results.
Yes. And show me how to use the damn thing. I'm so fucking lost. It's not even funny. I'm like, what does that button do? And where does that go? Oh God, it's like a toddler walking into a freeway. It's not good.
That's right. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you come up with on Snapchat, Greg.
It's gonna be ugly.
You know, I'm finding that my clients that are on Snapchat, the funnier the stuff, the more it converts on Snapchat. It's funny. They like funny stuff on Snapchat. They like, you know, weird. It's because it's got its own kind of weird vibe to it, and so
it's very different.
That. It's very different. So try out the stuff you wouldn't try on Facebook. Try it out on Snapchat and see if you get conversions. If you do, you know, you can always use something like Snapchat as a pilot. If you get conversions on Snapchat, then figure out a way to tame it down a little and put it on Facebook and see what happens, or put it on Twitter. You'll take it from Snapchat, put it on Twitter, see if it converts.
So naked jogging is probably a good place to start.
Well, you know, that's perfect for Snapchat, but I don't know about Twitter. But might end up on Fox News. You know, I don't know.
No, you don't want it to be recorded and searchable. I wouldn't recommend hashtagging it with your name.
Don't hashtag that. You know.
Hashtag jogging uncensored.
That's right. Jogging uncensored. All right. So what's all right? So we've got. What are you reading? What are people asking you? What was the third one, Tim?
The third one is, you know, what am I doing that's successful? Okay. How can I help people understand what I'm doing is successful? And then the last thing is what Greg already talked about, and we just talked about, is what inspires you. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily always be about business. You know, so a lot of times, I like what he said. He said 85-15. I always tell people it's the Pareto principle, which is 80-20. 20% of the time, you know, I'm trying to do something serious and get some other, but 80% of the time, it's just, you know, I want people to know that I'm just a person. I like eating pizza. I don't, you know, because remember, you're trying to build a relationship with another human on the other side of this crevasse that is digital. And so, you know, a lot of people just like following that stuff. And so I always like to pick, I'm kind of a serious individual, so I like to pick quotes that really inspire me or pictures that really inspire me. It doesn't always have to be funny, but it doesn't always have to be business. And so, you know, that inspirational piece is super, super important. Make sure that, you know, if things that inspire you, if you're a photographer, share your photos. Who cares? You know, I mean, people need to know the other side of you. If you're a drummer, you know, tell people where you're at. I mean, it doesn't matter, you know, because people want to know that you're not just a realtor, but you're actually but you're actually a person. You know, it's not what we do; it's who we are, right? What we do is a byproduct of who we are. Maybe, I mean, it kind of comes out of who we are, but the truth is, who I am is. I mean, if I couldn't do this, what I'm doing right now anymore, I would still be who I am. It's just I couldn't do this, so I would be doing something else. But you know, there's something inherent in me that I like to share with people, and that's what being genuine is. I'm saying, hey, this is just really who I am. And so you know, sometimes if you just do that, then kind of like what happened with Matt and I, right? I just happened to see that drum set in the back. That gave us a moment of saying, hey, we have something really in common. That's what I'm always trying to do with social media. I'm always trying to say, hey, I have something that inspires me, and I know that you'll have that in common. And it's amazing how you'll start to see that, and you'll start to see the same people, you know. If you watch it, you'll see the same people who will do stuff with you. Those are the people who are now engaging with you, and they're probably more likely to at least read and consider what you're putting out there business-wise. And that's what you want. You got to earn it before they'll do it with you.
You know, I have a couple of folks that follow me and, you know, are very religious on joining me on my Facebook Lives, and I love it because I'm developing a relationship with them. They're developing a relationship with me. Again, it's just two humans getting to know each other. One found value in what the other one was saying, and then the original one that was searched then reaches back, and there is a bond that starts to grow. And it's incredible because you don't know a lot of the times on how you're going to be able to positively affect, you know, what people are experiencing. And I actually had a gentleman that I worked with 10 years ago. We were going to be listing his home for about $1.5 million, then help him either buy a lot to build or help him buy another $2 million home. And he wanted us to stay up with. He's like, Greg, the reason why I'm calling you is because I've been following all your videos on Facebook. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And Josh Bryan has just wrote into us, I love you, Greggy. LOL. Thanks, Josh. Love you back, buddy. That killed me.
Yeah. So there's I've been reading this book right here, The Referral of a Lifetime, Tim Templeton, and there was a really good quote. And I don't know why I haven't come across this book already, because I think it's over a decade old, probably well over that. But you said we're all gifted in certain areas, and we need to be more of ourselves, not less.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that, when you were talking earlier, Tim, about just being yourself and being genuine, reminded me of that quote, because I went back and underlined that because it's so good, because it reminds me of what Chris Angel said, which is you cannot build your entire business on something that you hate to do.
Mm-hmm.
In regards, he was mentioned in regards to the way that you prospect and find clients, but it's true of anything. You can't base the content that you produce around stuff that you hate. So it's you have to be more of yourself and be genuine and be an actual person. And the more that you can do that in a systematic way, that's the key to actually putting that taking what's kind of in your head and what just kind of goes on in your daily life, and then figuring out how to put that into a form that's valuable to other people. But it kind of starts with you being okay with just being more of yourself and not trying to be somebody else.
I totally agree with that. And here's the thing: a lot of people say to me, "Well, I don't write well." Well, so write short.
Or don't write.
Start short. Don't write. Don't try to write 10,000 words. Just write 100 words. Write 50 words, but make it meaningful. And the more that you write, the better you'll get at it. I mean, that's just all there is to it. In education, it's interesting that you talk about that, Matt, because in education there's this kind of joke. It's not very funny, but it is humorous, and that is that a lot of people train to be teachers and don't realize they're going to hate it till the kids show up. And a lot of times, once the kids show up and you're a teacher, and then all of a sudden you realize you hate it because this is not what you wanted. I was training to do this, but this is actually not what I want. I don't actually like children. That kind of happens sometimes, And I'm just telling you right now that what that's like. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, in light of what you just said, it's so important that if you can't write content around what you're doing, you need to consider why that is. I mean, honestly, or maybe you're really not into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be no problem for me. I mean, I'm a huge jazz aficionado. I mean, I'm huge jazz aficionado. It would be no problem for me to sit down and write 25 words about jazz, about John Coltrane. I would have no problem at all. I mean, now, and I don't have to necessarily be a great writer. I mean, I have a lot of writing in my background, and people say, well, it'd be really easy. I'm not asking you to write 1,000 words. I'm asking you to write 25. You write 25 words about what you do and make it really great.
But what if you can't
start there?
But what if you mean like me for writing? I mean, I just flat out suck at it. Matt knows that. That's why he writes everything for me, because Matt's like, holy Christ, Greg, that's horrible. Not even a third grader can be that bad. So you could speak it. You could speak it and go to REV.com and have it translated.
That's right.
Tim, was it you that were talking about that there was? Yeah, was you? What's that free? It's not Rev, but there's a free software. The thing is already on computers that you can go and have it translated for you. You know what I'm talking about?
That was
Dragon, or the speech to text.
No, that wasn't me. But Dragon, Dragon is what I use. Yeah, I don't think. I think that was somebody else. I think you and I were on a blab with somebody, but I don't know who that was. I don't remember what that was.
That was Jason Bates. That was Jason, I think, said that. We're having him on the show.
But I all the time I carry my phone, and on Dragon Dictation I'll say, okay, I got this idea, and I just speak it into my phone. And then I just take the words and I just fix it. And you know what, you guys, listen, if you're not a good writer, I'm not trying to say become a writer. I'm saying become a content developer. Mm-hmm. If you've got to hire somebody to help you with your editing, that's not hard to find. You can go to Upwork, you can go to a lot of Fiverr, for crying out loud. You can find an editor for 50 words on Fiverr for $5 or $10. They'll edit it for you. I mean, don't let the writing get in the way. If you can speak it and get it that way, and you know what? If you don't want to do that, speak it and put the audio up.
Mm-hmm.
But at least create the content and sound passionate about it, and be or like what you guys are doing. Create a podcast, create something you can do with video, anything that you can do that shows that I can come up with ideas for people. That's what's important. I don't write all of my ideas down, but I talk a lot on the phone, and I can come up with a lot of ideas with people on the phone. It's valuable to them, and so. Then after I've talked to 10 or 12 people, I write a few things and I send them out to folks. But everybody's going to do this a little bit differently, and no one right way is the right way to do this. But what I am telling you is, if you can't come up with good content, so I don't necessarily mean writing now. I'm just saying, if you can't come up with good content about what you're doing, then you got to consider what you're doing. I mean, why would you be doing something you can't come up with words about in one way or another?
You know, another way to go about it is for content, and this is super easy, just write about your life. What's going on in your day-to-day life? People love
Right.
transparency. They love honesty. They love that all those different things. They want to get to know you as a human being. So if you have a shit day, talk about your shit day. If you have a just kick-ass win day, talk about your kick-ass win day, because there's going to be the ebb and flow that's naturally going to take place in life. If you have a question about something, or just chronicle your life a little bit, that would give you an opportunity of what you see going on around you, not just in your life. Maybe you walk past someone at Starbucks and you heard something that inspired you to say, to research something. Talk about what the action was that inspired you. Then bring the information that comment spawned you to go out and go research about, and bring it to people. Because who knows, maybe someone else is going through something like that. I mean, a while back I talked about something that was more than a little personal on the air, and people reached out to me in droves to talk to me about that thing. So I've decided that I told Matt that I'm going to open up and I'm going to be open and transparent about everything in my life, and we're just going to see where it goes from there. I'm pretty much living on the camera anyway, so might as well might as well just make it real.
Well, it's about time that you've decided to come clean with your horrible skin disease. I mean, it's the head-to-toe eczema that you suffer from. I appreciate that, guy. It's so brave.
Well, the cream is
so brave.
God.
There's nothing like this show anywhere. There's nothing like this show anywhere.
No. I talk about what a horrible softball player I was. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you guys this story real quick. So I was like allergic to the softball last night. I don't know what was wrong. I was like a magnet, and it had a circle around me. If I was somewhere, the softball was not there. Finally, someone hit the freaking ball to me, and I was going up, and I was like, I got it. And then I clamp onto it, and then it pops out the top, and I'm falling forward, and somehow I do a miraculous catch in my elbow as I'm going down, doing a barrel roll. Everyone thinks I got it, and I'm yelling, I got it. I get up, and I'm like, I still got it. And even the other team was cheering because it was such a colossal fuck up. And the Major Leagues will not be calling me anytime soon to be an outfielder. Any way, shape, or form.
Oh, man. Kalen could do awesome things with that video footage if we could ever dig that up.
Oh, my God, if that was filmed. Oh, I wish that had been filmed.
That'd be on ESPN. It'd be your first time on national television. It'd be for a softball blooper.
on a station I don't watch.
Yeah, exactly. On a station you don't watch. That's sad. All right. Oh, okay. So we've talked about so there's the four ways to kind of generate content. So and then obviously, Greg, you have your perspective on is go out, look for content. What are you currently? You really focus on specifically going out, finding things to read. I think I've kind of found my method, which like Tim is what am I reading right now? So there's I'll piggyback off of that. Let's talk about repackaging and repurposing a little bit, because this is something I'm really curious about. I'm actually potentially experimenting with this to figure out how to turn kind of a weekly podcast into a whole week's worth of social media content for 4 or 5 different platforms. So I'm curious, Tim, what can you do with what are some good ideas for how people can take like one kind of flagship piece of content and then break that up and repurpose it for the other networks?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the strategies that we use a lot is what's called atomization. Atomization is taking something big and shrinking it down into small little pieces. So that's a very big thing that we do in all kinds of content. So if you're going to try to take a big piece, so let's say, here's a good example. Somebody writes a blog. Let's say somebody writes a blog that's 400 words. Well, we can take that 400 words and craft it down into 50 and 100 word pieces and start fishing them out to all the different platforms. And the idea is ultimately I want to get them back to that blog post maybe, or maybe I want to get them to go over to Facebook, or maybe I want them to join my email list, or whatever I'm trying to do. But I can atomize. I can repurpose it by atomizing it, and sharing it that way. So that's one way. The second way we can do it is you can take what we would call we can retell the same story. So there's the atomization, which is I'm just taking a bigger thing and putting it into little things. Mm-hmm. There's also the other side of that, by the way. I can take a lot of little things and then ultimately publish a big thing. That's another There used to be this phenomenon called blogging a book. People really don't do this much anymore, but they'll write a whole bunch of blog posts and they would put them all together, write a bunch of intermediary stuff, and then they'd publish a book. They used to do that. So that was kind of from the atomized to the large. So you can go either way on that. But this other piece of this retelling the same story is that if I say something, if I write something, is there another way that I can say that same thing, but just from a different angle? So, so I'm writing about social media, for instance. So I'm talking about Facebook, and then so I think to myself, okay, I've got all these things about Facebook. What I just wrote, what also applies to Instagram? Oh, okay. Well, it turns out that 3 of the 5 things that I just wrote about on Facebook apply to Instagram. Okay, so here's the 5 things that everyone should know about Facebook. Even, let's say I just say that 5 things everybody should know about you. Now I can turn that into the 3 things that everybody should know about Instagram, and I just make sure that my content is not copied, right? Because people, that's another big BS meter thing, right? People know when you copied your content. But what I've done is I've retold that story, and I've said, look, here's how it looks for that. Or maybe is there maybe 1 or 2 things there? Are there 1 or 2 things there that I can use for Twitter, and then I can add 2 or 3 more things? So what's happening is I'm using the same content over and over. I'm building pieces. I'm interweaving it, because this is not rocket science. I mean, this is the same basic concepts exist. I'm sure that in buying a house or selling a house, or listing a house, or preparing a house for sale, or whatever, getting a loan for a house, I'm sure that there's content that overlaps itself everywhere. And so once you get a couple of these things written, then you can actually start putting this stuff together. And 5 blog posts, I always show my I keep wanting to say my students. I think that's because I've got something else on my mind. So my clients, I always tell my clients, get 5 blog posts and we can make 25. I'll show you how to do it. Because what happens is you get these 5 blog posts, then you start saying, okay, I'm going to pull this one out of this, and this one out of this, and this one out of this. I'm going to write a new intro. I'm going to put a new title on it, and I've got these 3 things. That's number 6, and then I pull this together, and then pretty soon 25 turns into 200, and then pretty soon, and that's because the foundational concepts of anything are always the foundational concepts of what it is. You know what I mean? So like for instance, I mean foundationally, selling a house is what? I mean, whatever that is. Buying a house is what? It's always going to be foundationally different. It's not like, the same. It's not like tomorrow buying a house is going to be completely different than buying a house last week. It's foundationally the same. Or buying $1 million house is fundamentally completely different than buying a $400,000 house. Or maybe it is. But I'm just saying that if you can find where those foundational things are, those are the things that you can always build on again. So you build on it over and over. So I like to use what we call the garden model. I put something foundational down. Digital. So for instance, here's one of my foundational pieces. Digital behaviors by humans. That's one of my big foundations. Understand that these are humans doing digital things. Okay. So I lay that bedrock down, right? I start growing flowers out of that. That's why I call it the flower bed. So one flower is what? What can I say about that? What can I say about Twitter? What can I say about Facebook? What can I say about this? And I start growing flowers off the flowers. You know what I mean? So I got a Facebook flower or 2, maybe 3. I got Twitter 2 or 3 flowers in the bed, and I start pushing flowers off the flowers, and pretty soon I'm writing about all this stuff, and it's based on this one foundation. Figure out what that next foundational thing is, and I write on that. That is how you can repurpose content without using a machine. The last thing you want to do is buy one of those machines that repurposes your content, because all it does is mix words around. You don't want to do that. You want to actually write things or do things, but you can start seeing that I've got this foundational idea. And unfortunately, this is where our relationship between myself and you guys is different, because I don't know what those foundational things are for you. But I know they exist in every industry. There's a foundational set of knowledge, and they're going to come in pieces. And if you can get those pieces as bedrocks, a whole lot of content out of those, and you can use them over and over and over again all over the place. And so that's the beauty of it, is that growing the flowers has the same basic idea at the bottom, but all the flowers can be different colors and sizes and scents, and you can grow. They can have different functions. so, whether it's technological or whether it's, whatever it is, that's really important. So I hope that answered your question. That's how I heard you ask. What I heard you ask.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I wish I'm trying to find this real quick. So a while back, me and Greg kind of sat down, and of course in our respective offices, so it's not in the same room, but we essentially sat down to figure out, okay, what are the core values of the show? And that's something that we need to do a much better job of communicating, but essentially it's the same concept. And I was just talking with like a learning and development expert, a senior VP at Merrill Lynch earlier today, about this exact topic, and she calls them anchors, which I think is a great word for, but it's the same concept. It's those foundational pieces of what you run across every day. It's the things that you find yourself explaining to clients or answering questions about, or the concepts that you use every day in your business. So I just ran across them, so I just want to run through these real quick so that people understand a little bit about where the show is coming from, and this is where we should and could be pulling more ideas for content from, which is blending high-tech, high-touch. That's, Greg, that's always been a major tenet of what you teach long before you and I met. So freedom, autonomy, the ability to determine how you spend your time, where you work, how hard you work, the liberation of the mind. Leverage, lifestyle, simplicity, systems. That's more me than you, Greg.
We know this.
Focus, value. What can you do that provides the most value to the world? And then skill set. Are you on your way to being so good that people can't ignore you? And then pillars, which you've talked about. What are the four pillars of your real estate business? But essentially figuring out, the concept of installing multiple pillars in your business. So these are all like core values of the show, and we try to bring people on that have things to share that fit those core values. But when we sit down, and this is something that I'm working with to develop with Caitlin, who, if anybody follows the show, you know that she's the producer, she books the guests, she lines up a lot of things, but I'm also working with her very closely to kind of develop our social media strategy so that we have, because it's something that me and Greg we don't have the bandwidth to do all on our own.
Very true.
So, but those are kind of the concepts that you're talking about, Tim, is taking those things, those core values, and probably limiting it down to maybe 4 or 5 things. But there's all kinds of content that we could build. There's links from other people, articles from other people that we could curate and share that are all based around 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever core values of your business, and that's what they are for us. And we need to do a better job of sharing content, both us, stuff that we generate, and repurposing stuff from the show, and also sharing stuff that we've curated from others on those core values.
Yeah, I try to do that as much as possible, and I'm going to talk to both of you gentlemen off air about something that has to do almost exactly about this, an opportunity that has presented itself, which is very, very exciting. And I want to bring you two in along with a couple other guys to build this thing. But it is, like when I do all my videos, and I know we're at 3 minutes until bingo, so I'll move quickly, is I focus on my strengths. I don't try to go create my, build up my weaknesses. But
you're not trying to be a writer.
No, God, no. I will not have any published anything anytime in the near future with my John Hancock on it. No way. But what I'm saying is that it's figure out. This is something I go with the McDaniel Challenge with is. Tell me something about you that I don't know. Tell me a skill set. Tell me, something that you're really good at, and then we can leverage off of that, because there's other people out there that want to learn that strength that don't own it. Like there was a gal that was in one of my last AIM classes, very beautiful girl. She dressed incredibly well, and she's really big into fashion. And so I'm like, can you help my big monkey ass look a little bit more presentable? She's like, I don't know, Greg. I don't think there's any help for you. I'm like, great. Training over for you. Go away. No, she laughed, but she has a skill set that I just don't have. So find your skill set that you possess, and then like we're talking about here, go like I've been taking notes here because what Tim's saying I don't know anything about, and I'm going to start leveraging all this great intel. So start doing that for yourself as well. So we're at
and it's funny, Matt, how you talked about how that was from a learning and development person. My entire background is in education and curriculum design, learning and development, instructional design. So these are concepts that I know, and what's funny is what's happening right now today is exactly what I'm talking about. The core value is the same. It just happens to be I'm talking to realtors about how they want to meet the objectives of what they want to get out to people. Whether I'm talking to teachers or realtors, or the concept is the same, but the flowers growing out of the bed is different, because I can't tell you what I would tell a teacher because it doesn't apply to you. I have to care enough about you to look into realtors and what do realtors talk about, and I follow them on Twitter, and I listen to what they say, and I say, okay, well, what I'm seeing is this is the foundational thing. How do we grow flowers out of that? That is exactly what it is. Education is very simple. You have a set of objectives, a set of activities, and a set of evaluations. If those three things are in sync, then what you hope to do is what actually happens. And so we can talk about more about this later, but that infrastructure is really, really important, because if you don't do the work that you guys have already done, if you've never sat down, then do yourself a favor. Take a weekend, go get a cup of coffee, check yourself into a hotel, whatever it takes, and get those core values down, whether they are personal and professional. Really get them down, list them, whatever they are, whether it's 2, 5, 12, whatever. If you don't have that, then it's going to be very hard for you to understand exactly where to start in these foundational ideas that you can then push across several different platforms.
Love it.
Very true.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, unfortunately, we have to end there, but yes, I do want to come back and circle back and do like an in-depth episode on that topic, because that's something that we all, there'd be a huge benefit, and I think it's a message that people need to hear, is to figure out what their core values. I mean, that's something they need to do just for their business in general, but then leveraging that and using that in the content strategy, I think, is a tangible benefit that people will get out of it that will motivate them to do that and sit down and figure out their core values, and it's something that they probably should have done already, but they will continue to put off because the benefit isn't as tangible and immediate as it is if we sit down and say, look, this is your content strategy. Like, this is a way to figure out what you're going to post on Facebook and Instagram next week. So I think I think that'd be a great episode. So let's do that. Let's plan on that. So just want to finish up. Once again, thank you to Viral Marketing. You can check them out at gregsmarketingexamples.com, where you can see exactly what they do for Greg and how he pulls repeat and referral business out of his database using their educational kind of video system. And then go download the Homing In app. They are awesome. Go check that out and see if there are seller leads that are waiting for you in your area, like the Long Beach. There was ones that are already waiting for them. And then subscribe. So tell a friend, tell a friend in business about the show. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, go there and subscribe first. And then for the audio version, nestled right here in your ears where we so belong. That's right. Go to iTunes and Stitcher. All right, Greg. And then very quickly, the McDaniel Challenge.
McDaniel Challenge is going to change your life. Take it before you die, guys. You need to. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours with me, Monday through Thursday evenings. We are going to go together. We're going to do some free coaching and training. It's a lot of fun, guys. It is, like I said, I'm going to say it again. It's free. There's no strings attached. It's not going to be a sales pitch or anything else. It's just you and me hanging out. If it's you and your team or your office or just you and me, whatever you want to do. It's, we go, balls to the walls, and we have some fun doing it. I'm booked up until, I just clicked away from it, damn it, July 20th. Holy sheep shit, July 20th. So get off the fucking fence, people, and try to get it booked before you're into fucking August. Really? August? That's insane. So I love all of you guys that are following up and checking in with me. So take the challenge, guys. I know we got to jump because we are over our bingo on this thing, but I love you. We do it for you, and we want to see you succeed.
Well, and we want to see Tim succeed. So specifically, how do people connect with Tim?
Just like before, 30 minutes free consultation anytime. Go to bookdrtim, bookdrtim.com, and just sign up for a spot, and we'll get on the phone.
That's awesome, man. Thanks so much for doing that. That's really, really fantastic that you're offering that for free to people. Very cool.
Really awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys. Looking forward to having you back on the show tomorrow, everybody. Tomorrow we have a special episode. The Art of Charm host, Jordan Harbinger, is here. So we're going live at 3 p.m., but we're doing it tomorrow instead of Wednesday. So keep in mind that the days are switched around. And then Friday we're back at our regular time and day, 11 a.m. We're interviewing Misty Soldswitch, who's a top agent. So we're going to find out what's working for her. And so it's a big, big week. So make sure to join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. to see Jordan Harbinger. So until then, thank you so much, guys. We love you.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.